A look at how to register as self-employed and doing your self-assessment tax return. Let's do it. Before we get started with the video, I just wanted to make clear that I'm in no way a tax professional or a tax expert or even an accountant of any kind. All of this information in the video is based on my own personal experience from doing my own self-assessment tax returns since 2014. So I didn't want to give any false pretenses. I'm not a tax expert. This is just a video to hopefully be helpful for some people. So let's have a little look how we get started. So the first thing to be aware of is that the tax year in the UK runs from April to April. That is the 6th of April until the 5th of April. And payments are due by the 31st of January each year. However, once you've filled in your tax return, HMRC will keep you up to date with when you need to pay, how much you need to pay. It's all pretty straightforward in that sense, because obviously they want you to pay your money to them. Anyway, but to get started with self-assessment, first you need to register for an account. Pop it in Google, register for self-assessment or something along those lines, and that will take you to the correct website. Obviously I'll have all of the information up on the screen here. It should show you everything you need to know, the pages you need to go to. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward to register, but you need to register self-employed. You need to get a unique taxpayer reference, which is abbreviated to UTR. That's what HMRC calls that. Now again, it sounds complicated, it sounds like a big thing, but really it's not at all. It's easy. Go on to the HMRC website. This is actually the hardest bit of the whole thing, is navigating that website, because it feels like you're using a website from kind of, I don't know, 2004 or something. It doesn't feel very well optimized. Menus don't work that well, but it is possible to work your way through it. Obviously, there's millions of people do it. It's just a bit of a pain in the butt. But yeah, so you need to be on there, and you need to put your details in to register as a sole trader, because that's what most of you will be. This is just a quick note. This is video 5 or maybe even video 6 in the Amazon Flex tutorials I'm doing, but it's not strictly just for Amazon Flex. This can be useful for anybody at all who's doing particularly delivery work, but obviously registering for self-employed, anybody who's self-employed must register for self-employed. You need to register as soon as you can after you start setting up your own self-employed business. So technically you are a self-employed contractor. You're a self-employed contractor for Amazon, so you are essentially a self-employed business now. You're a sole trader, and you subcontract yourself to Amazon to do deliveries, or to whatever it is you're doing, whether you're doing, I don't know, Hermes deliveries or any sort of delivery, any sort of self-employed work at all. Actually, you're contracting yourself out and earning your own money. But anyway, back to registering. You must register at the very latest by the 5th of October in your second tax year of trading. So that's really important. If you don't do that, you can be liable to be fined by HMRC and land in all sorts of bother, which obviously nobody wants. Yeah, so register for self-employed. If you have any issues with registering, then HMRC are actually reasonably helpful. You can go on there, you can find the help pages, which I'll pop the details up here. So there are help details. You can do a live web chat. You can the phone. If you call them on the phone, they are actually helpful. You might wait a while at the minute, especially with reduced numbers due to COVID-19 in the call centers and whatnot. But on the whole, HMRC are very helpful. Well, at the end of the day, they want your money, so they want you to pay tax. But yeah, they are helpful in helping you to set this stuff up. So if you're ever stuck on anything, give them a call. Go on the web chat. Have a chat with them, and they'll see you right. And obviously, if in any major doubt, you can always contact an accountant yourself, who will help you set it up. But I mean, I've never used an accountant myself, but if you need to, do it. Or if you've got any specific questions, drop us a line. I'm more than happy to help if I can. Like I say, I'm not an expert on tax or anything, but I have been doing it for a while, so I would be happy to help out if I can. But yeah, so it is pretty easy to register as self-employed. I'm sure you'd have no issues with it. Pop it in Google, the website will come up. Click on the register for self-employment, self-assessment. Sorry, register for self-assessment. It'll take you into the website. You put your details in. You'll be issued a UTR. and from there you can then start looking at completing your tax returns, which we'll go to next. So you've registered as self-employed. You're now in a position where you need to complete your first tax return. Now, it sounds daunting. It sounds very, very daunting to complete a tax return, but in all honesty, it's very easy. Again, the hardest bit is dealing with that HMRC website. So even finding the sign-in button can be challenging. So what I normally do, I just pop it in Google, HMRC self-assessment sign-in or something along those lines, and it will come up on Google. You click on the link on Google and it will take you to the sign-in page. So you go to the sign-in page. It's very easy. Click the sign-in, it's a big green button. Click sign-in. Obviously that's self-explanatory. Sorry if I'm but yeah, so that is straightforward. You click on the big green button, sign in. You're signing into your account there. The next thing you're going to do is enter your self-assessment registration number, which they will have sent you as well. This is a different number to the UTR. It's like, there's lots of numbers to remember. It's best to keep your bits of paper that they send you out after you've registered for self-employment. You'll get a login number. This will make sense once you go and do it. But anyway, so you pop your login number in the top line. You can't just have a username, of course, because it's a government website. So they give you a number, and below that number you'll enter your password. Again, this is a password given to you by HMRC when you've registered as self-employed. All this stuff comes to you in the post or via email, maybe these days. I'm not sure. When I did it, it came in the post, but obviously it was a while since I registered, so I don't know if procedures have maybe changed, but I got all this information in the post, like physical mail, with my login number and the gateway number. That's what it is. Sorry, the gateway number, not login number. So yeah, so I got that via the post, and you get a password and you log in, and then once you're in there, you will see a big screen detailing your tax records. Basically, at the bottom of that screen, it'll tell you if you owe any tax from the previous year. But obviously, if this is your first time doing it, it won't have much on there at all. So anyway, so once you're on there, you need to complete your self-assessment tax return. So we just go ahead and do that. We'll click on it. Another thing to note as well is that once you've set up, it's going to have a two-step sign-in process where they text you a number, or you can also have an email to another account, I think maybe, but I have it set up for a text code. So they send you a text code, and then you have to log in. You can click remember me for 7 days. So if you're going backwards and forwards, obviously doing your tax return, you might be logging in and out. It's handy to click that. Otherwise, you have to do this every time. They have to send you a code and you have to put the code in, which definitely is a bit of a pain in the butt. But I guess it keeps your tax account safe. But yeah, so we go in there. We have our tax overview with your personal tax account. If you click on the personal tax account, you will see lots more details about your national insurance contributions, pension, all sorts. Pretty much anything you can think of is on there on your personal tax account. So it's worth having a little look to make sure you're up to date with all your national insurance contributions. But you know, if you're interested in your pension, it'll tell you how much payout you're going to have by the time you retire. Mine is like 2048 or something, so it's still some way off for the state pension anyway. It also tells you your balance. So as you can see there, I still owe them £159, which I've got to pay by the 31st of January, as I mentioned earlier. So I'll have to do that at some point soon, I guess, because it's now the end of November. Yeah, so that's not a big problem, but it's something to remember. You also have on there, if you see on your form there, it says to get SA 302 tax calculation. So that's the major. So it's kind of the equivalent of a pay slip. Say you're applying for a mortgage or a loan or something like that, they will ask to see your 302 forms, which is basically your official receipt from HMRC to show how much tax you've paid, how much money you've earned. It's a way to prove your earnings. So like I say, it's like a pay slip. So this is a handy page to get back to if you ever apply for sort of credit, like especially your mortgage or car finance, you know, stuff like that. They will probably ask for your 302 form. But yeah, anyway, that's that. Just before we crack on here with how to actually complete the tax return, it's important to note that you only need to register for self-employed if you've earned, as a sole trader, sorry, if you've earned more than £1,000 before off-takings. We'll go into off-takings after. So if you've earned less than £1,000 from self-employment, you don't need to register for self-employment. Yeah, be aware of that. You don't need to if you've earned less than £1,000. So if you're only doing the odd flex shift here and there and nothing else self-employed wise, then there's no need for you to register. There's no need for you to complete a tax return. Once you're on there and completing your tax return, it's pretty straightforward. Every single section you will be prompted by the computer to enter certain details from obviously your national insurance number to which businesses you've been running. So personally, I have 3 separate streams of self-employment. So on mine, I have to pop in 3, and it will ask you various details about those employment thingies. So let's say, go back to say you're doing flex. You obviously you put that you're working for Amazon Flex, you're a delivery driver, and then it'll ask you for a brief description of what the job is. So you would say, I'm a subcontractor for Amazon doing part-time delivery work, or something along those lines, you know. There's nothing concrete really what you have to put in there. And then from there, you will go in, and this is where like organization becomes important, because it'll ask you how much money you've earned. Now, if you've planned ahead, you'll have made a spreadsheet or something along those lines with your earnings in. Now, remember, on the Amazon app, you can have a look at your earnings, and you can go back over the year and you can go through that and see everything you've been paid, and you can enter that into like an Excel spreadsheet, or even just write it down on a bit of paper, and that will then end up with a total of what you've been paid from the 6th of April to the 5th of April, which is what you're declaring. I always declare my taxes as soon as I can, because it gives you a bit more time to pay. Plus, if you hit with a balancing payment, which is a payment on account, sorry. So if you're hit with a payment on account, it means that you need to pay some of your taxes towards next year's taxes, if that makes sense. That can be quite hefty, or you can ask to defer those, but again, that'll be on here. I might go into a bit more detail on that in a different video, because this is just really a basic little tutorial. But anyway, so it's important to keep records, especially of your earnings, of your money coming in. So, but you, like, if you're doing flex, like this is part of the flex tutorial, then pop that in there. If you're not doing flex, you're doing something else, make sure you keep good accounting, keep your own numbers, because it just makes life much easier. And if there's one thing I like, it's an easy life. I'm sure you're the same. But yeah, so have your income to hand. And then the next thing, let's go back to the flex thing here, because this is part of the flex tutorial, like I keep saying. But anyway, so the easiest way to do this is to take off money from the taxes you owe is to claim your mileage. Like the simple mileage claim is the best I think for flex drivers. Realistically, you're not really going to use the other kind. So there's a kind of a complete and a simple version how to claim your expenses. The simple version is you can claim 45 pence per mile up to 10,000 miles traveled. Okay, does that make sense? So 45 pence per mile is what they calculate as your driving expenses. That's for your fuel and wear and tear on your vehicle, service and that kind of thing. That's what HMRC grants you, up to 10,000 miles. Once you hit 10,000 miles, if you do that many deliveries, that's quite a lot of deliveries. If you hit that many miles, so over 10,000, it's 25 pence per mile. So every mile that you drive for work, you can deduct 45 pence from the taxes that you're due to pay. Sorry. So work it out yourself. You know, if you're driving 2 miles a day, it's not very more, but that's 90 pence that you don't have to pay in tax. So from whatever you earn, that comes off it. So for example, the easiest way to keep this is have a clipboard in your car, have a sheet of paper, or you can print one out, you know, have the date and the mileage that you're doing. So like count it from the odometer. So say you're starting on, I don't know, 12,500 miles for the day. You get to the delivery station, and from there, now this is again contentious, do you count from your home or do you count from the delivery station? I count from the delivery station, but you can probably count from home, I don't know, because it's a business mile, I guess, to get to the station. But anyway, from wherever you start counting, write down on the odometer reading 12,500, say, if that's what the mileage is on, 12,500. By the time you finished work, it might be 12,550. And off that, you get 50 miles worth of 45 pence per mile deduction of your taxes. Does that make sense? I hope it does. That's the easiest way to claim. The more complicated way to claim is to keep all your receipts from fuel, servicing, vehicle purchases, vehicle hire, that sort of thing, and your insurance costs. But this is kind of more aimed towards sort of full-time courier work, which I've never done myself. I've never kept my expenses in this manner, but I mean, you could if you wanted to, if that makes sense for you. But I would say for most flex drivers who are doing this part-time for a few hours a week, probably the simple allowance, expense allowance is the way to go with that. So you can deduct 45 pence for every mile that you drive from your expenses, from your taxable amount. So I hope that's helpful. So if you have a job on the side with flex, like a normal job, an employed job, and you pay in tax and stuff, all that information will come into there. And remember, you get I think it's like £11,500 tax free, so you don't actually pay tax until you hit £11,500 in earnings. But that's employed and self-employed put together, so anything over that you're going to pay tax on. The whole tax thing, it sounds expensive. It is expensive if you earn a bit of money. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. Go on the site and see what's what. It's really straightforward. They will tell you exactly what you owe. I know this might have been a little bit of a dull video, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway, and I hope it's been slightly helpful at least. It is a complicated subject, but it is, well, it sounds complicated anyway, or it sounds complicated when I'm explaining it maybe, but it's not really complicated. It's easy once you get onto the site, if you know what I'm saying. If you go onto the site, you enter your details, you enter your expenses. If you keep the expenses simple like this, especially 45p per mile is a pretty generous allowance, I would say. So that is definitely helpful. But I'm going to draw this video to a close. If there's any specific questions, pop them in the comments and I'll try and answer them. And again, if you're in any doubt with your taxes, ring HMRC, go on the web chat, or hit them on Twitter. You know, there's all sorts of ways to get in contact with them. Or get an accountant to do it. It's probably not that expensive to have an accountant look at your self-assessment forms and stuff. It's pretty straightforward though. I've never used an accountant. I've never had any issues with HMRC. Go on there, fill in all the details it's asking you for, stick your expenses in, keep it organized while you're doing your work. That's the kind of the key. Keep it organized. Keep your income and expenditure, or your mileage rather. Keep it written down. Keep it in columns somewhere, and just keep it to one side for when you have to file your taxes. File your taxes early so you get more time to pay. Because I mean, you can't actually file right up until the 31st of January, but then you also have to pay on the 31st of January. So you pop them in, and they're going to hit you with a bill for, I don't know, thousands of pounds potentially if you've earned substantial money. So personally, I file my taxes as soon as I can, and I know exactly where I stand with HMRC in that case. So that's just the way I do it. But do it however works for you. Register for self-employment, easy. Do a tax return. It sounds daunting. It's not. It's easy. It's really straightforward. Especially if you do it online, you know. What was the slogan they used to use? Tax doesn't have to be taxing. Well, it's not taxing. It's straightforward. The most taxing bit of it is navigating their damn website, which is archaic. But once you get the hang of it, once you've registered, once you get your UTR number, once you get your gateway number, you know, all that stuff, you have to. So just don't leave it to the last minute. Is what I'm saying. Get on with it and get it done. Pay the taxes that the government says is due. And go from there. But I hope the video is useful. If you feel like doing so, it would be great if you like, comment and subscribe. If you subscribe to the channel, there's a whole series on flex videos which I will pop somewhere here on the screen, so that would be awesome. Like, comment and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.